Anytime I see content where a woman is bragging about the fact that she does not have children, I know within 3 to 5 business days, a mom somewhere in the universe is going to make a video saying how much she loves being a mother and she's noticed people bragging about not having kids. And the energy of those videos, the vibe of those types of videos never seems positive, and it's never giving I'm proud to be a mom. I am team do what the fuck you want. I have told women my entire life, wait to have kids if you really want them. Do you really want them, or is it just pressure? Like, I am team, hey, think it out so you can make an educated decision and do what's best for you. When I see women brag about not having kids and they can come home to an empty house and be in peace, I'm happy. I don't feel the need to make a video saying, well, I have 2 kids and I'm happy to be around my 2 kids. And another downside of women making those videos where they're like, well, I'm happy to have kids. If you raise your children right, not talking about if they have an illness where they need lifelong care. I know the what about this people are ready to attack at any moment, so let me just cover that. But other than those circumstances, if you raise your children right, they are going to eventually leave the nest. And even if they don't leave the nest, they're going to get their own friends and they're going to get their own life. And one day you're going to come home to an empty house and your kids are not going to be there. And I've seen couples go on vacation together and they're like, oh, I just miss my kids and the noise of my children. And I worry for them because so many couples divorce after their kids leave the home because they wake up and find the only thing that was holding them together was the hustle and bustle of the kids. So they never had time to focus on just how shitty each other is or the fact that they have nothing real in that relationship going on. I say this as a mom of 2 children that I will and have beat ass over. Don't mess with my kids. You can say anything about me, but don't mess with my kids. A lot of women have kids and they hide behind that identity because they have nothing else going on in their lives. And the day that their children go off and get a life on their own, they're going to go through a rough case of empty nest syndrome. They're not going to know what else to do with their lives. I really see this a lot with single moms who, oh, my child is my life and I can never do anything without my child, and my child, and they make their child the center of their universe, and it's only because they're not dating, they're not building friendships. And on the flip side, once those same women meet a man, they make their whole life about that man. So it was really never about loving their child. If you see a woman who is happy about the fact that she can come home to an empty house after a long day, and you clench your butt cheeks and you immediately got to hit record and talk about how amazing your life is in response to her, it's giving jealous. I think to a certain extent, parenthood is a cult. The way I see people react and act towards people who don't have children, they have this weird obsession with trying to convince the world that it's not so bad. It's beautiful. It's beautiful if you have money. It's beautiful if you have a network of people helping you. It's beautiful if you have an amazing partner who doesn't just treat parenting as something a mom should be doing. It's beautiful if you have a child that's not crying every hour on the hour, staying up at night. They have 0 sleep schedule. It's beautiful if you're able to sleep and get the rest that you need and the food that you need to eat. I always say, look at the source. If some woman who can afford a nanny is telling me that having a child is easy, look at people who match the realistic version of what your life is. That influencer that has hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank and can afford a nanny, and her mom comes to her house every weekend to help her life is going to be different from you, whose husband either works all the time or you have to go back to work after you have your baby. You don't have a network and you can't just call a nanny to come help you for the weekend. It's going to look different if you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank and access to the best doctors and therapy. And this whole attitude of just do it. There's never a right time. Being financially stable, being able to have a some kind of support system, that kind of makes the time much better. Wouldn't you agree? I think just do it and everything will fall into place is the worst fucking advice to give to women who are thinking about whether or not they should have kids. There are so many children out here who have horrible parents, who had parents who I'm sure just did it, and their parents wound up hating them and regretting the fact that they ever had kids. And those children grew up knowing that. So many cases of children who are no longer on this earth because that parent snapped, because it couldn't stand to hear them crying, because they were frustrated, because they couldn't figure out what was wrong, because they didn't have support when they struggled with postpartum depression. So don't just do it. Make an educated, well-informed decision about children, okay?